am so thankful when I get Patreon and channel recommendations for different top 5 Wednesday videos, because this prompt is probably not one that would come up on on my own, but I'm so excited that somebody shared about it so I could do a video about it. Hello friends, happy Wednesday. It's Top 5 Wednesday and I'm really excited for this video. It has been a hot minute since I actually had to flip through manga to find the characters I was looking for, because the original prompt I got was, could I do a Top 5 Wednesday video on parents or most supportive? I think it was friends, and I loved this prompt, but I was on the struggle bus for parents because I feel like it's really hard to find good parents in manga, to be honest. And even though I just read the latest volume of A Condition Called Love, of the physical volume, I think it's 13, I believe. I did a short on it. There were some parents in there and I thought they were great, but I'm like, this is the first time we've really seen the parents and it does not feel fair to do, even though I know in the past I've done it, but it didn't feel fair to do it for this video considering I've just met them. I got to thinking, because I definitely thought of Yona of the Dawn. There are so many great parents or parent-like figures in that series. I thought of Kimi Todoke, of her mom, of Sawako's mom. I love her. I thought of My Love Story has really great parents like Takio's mom, and Takio's dad is something else. And I was like, man, I feel like these are bigger known series that they come to mind easier than other ones, which nothing wrong with that. They're great. They're fantastic. I feel like they deserve to be on these lists. But I was like, man, it'd be fun to do more of a underrated parent-like figures that have really touched the heroine's life or the hero's life, or both of them, because I feel like there are parents or parent-like figures that really shape these different characters. And so I thought it'd be fun to feature them today. And I guess this would be a great time to go into it, because honestly, the character that sort of sparked me thinking about this, the first person that came to mind was Granny from QQ Sweeper Queen's Quality. And the reason I was struggling, because she also turns into an owl in the series. I was like, I would love to feature her because this series is about our female lead. Her name is Fumi. Everywhere she goes, she's called a curse girl. Bad things happen. And so she sort of isolated herself and tried to really stay positive as much as she can. But she enters this room where our male lead is sleeping, I believe at the time, Kyutaro. Or maybe he's not sleeping, but I know she enters into this room and it is not your ordinary room. It leads to a special place called the Vault, where you can see these bugs that have infected people's minds, more or less. This story starts out with Fumi learning to become a sweeper that cleans these bugs, therefore creating a cleaner atmosphere, mental headspace of some people that we do know and some people that we don't. Eventually as well, there being some romance that comes into play, which is amazing. And the series has been absolutely incredible. I did a review because you guys voted for it in one of my re-review shoujo sprees and it won. I've just been so thankful. This is a darker series for me. It has mentally at times felt like it destroyed me in some places, but it has also left me so much hopeful, and I definitely can see in my life of how I was before I read this series and after I read this series. So that brings me back to say Granny, I feel like, is such an instrumental character in Fumi's life. Fumi's parents are not around. We don't know all of the reasons, the backstory, until much later, but I love how, especially in QQ Sweeper, that Granny just comes along Fumi and I feel like just sort of adopts her in a sense. She helps teach her the ways of being a sweeper. Even more as we go into the series, yes, she does help teach her those basics of what a sweeper is, how to be a good sweeper, but really I feel like when Fumi is having disaster strike in her life and she is overwhelmed or really distraught, that Granny is there, and she is, I feel like, the rock for this family, honestly, lending and sharing her wisdom with not just Fumi but the entire family, so that everybody can see, be encouraged to know hey, stay strong, be on guard, and let's keep fighting and not give up, and not to be afraid to clap back at times where they can't sit back and be more reserved, that no, they have to be vocal and move forward even if they don't always know what's going to unfold by them moving forward in the decision that they're making. I love her deeply in this series. I feel like she is a lot of fun, but she's really fierce as well and just really has shaped Fumi to be the young woman that she is today, where Fumi, I feel like, can flourish because she knows she has that support and that love backing her every step of the way. Again, even when she is just sobbing or had a really rough day, Kyutaro is definitely there, don't get me wrong, but when I think again of a parent-like figure, Granny is the one that comes to mind. I have loved her and I wanted to give her that time and that special attention because I feel like she really deserves it. I mean, because not only when they're in the regular world is she there, like Granny's there, but also when they're going into these mind vaults and how she's also there and she's supporting them, and the characters feel stronger knowing Granny has their backs, that she's going to help protect them, she's going to help talk to them and mentor them, whether that's here right now in that moment as sweepers in the vault, or if they are up in their home and they're struggling with everyday chores or whatever it may be. She's a very important character. I truly hope that out of the fandom of the readers that she gets a lot of love from, you know, whether that's vocal or not, because she deserves all of it. And I sort of debated at first if she's truly underrated, but I don't see much talked about her, which I guess would make sense because even in my own reviews that I've shared in my reading wrap-ups, typically I'm focusing on Fumi and Kyutaro because I love them. They're my favorite characters in the series. But going back to that underratedness, she deserves some time and attention, and I've just been so thankful that even if she in the later volumes has not been as prominent, I feel like her presence is still there, and that even now, 20 volumes in, that she is shaping Fumi and helping her be the young woman that she is today. For number 2, man, this one was so hard, and that is From Far Away, because there are 2 characters, and I was going to say the second character, Zena, I think is how you say her name, and I realized as I was reading further in the series, I'm like, I can't say nothing about her character without giving major spoilers, but just know that she's one of the first people that came to mind when I thought for From Far Away of who I wanted to feature. But I'm gonna like rewind, and I'm gonna say Gaia, which I forgot to put my bookmark in here because I put it in a different volume. Why I did that, I don't know, friends. But here she is right here. She is such an important figure, and I definitely feel like a parent-like figure specifically to Noriko. And if you're not familiar with this manga, please read it. I can't remember if it's on the Viz app or not. I have several, as you can see, I have this volume physically, but I do have several volumes physically of this. Is it down there? Yeah. Right down there. But before I got these physicals, because I only had like the first 3 or the first 4, I bought all of this series digitally because I could not stop reading. It is phenomenal. I do have a video review. It is the one out of print manga shoujo series from Viz Media that I am really desperately wanting to see that get that Red River treatment and come back as an omnibus. I would love that, and I really think people would love this series very much. It is about our female lead. Her name is Noriko, and she's just your average normal teenage girl who's going to school, having a great time with her friends, when something happens and she ends up being isekai'd into this other world. When she comes to this other world, she doesn't know the language, she doesn't know why she's here, she knows nothing and nobody, and that is where she meets Izark, and Izark comes upon the scene. She is sort of terrified because she's hearing, if I'm remembering right, she's hearing all of these loud voices and people are hunting her down, because what she doesn't know is she is the awakening who's supposed to awaken the sky demon. And I'm not gonna say who that is, but Izark is there thankfully, and he sort of intercedes and he helps her to get to safety. And for some reason, he can't just bring himself to abandon Noriko, who is just, again, this cute young woman who's just trying her best. And I remember she has like her little briefcase that she uses for school, or her bag, and she doesn't want to get rid of it. And Izark's like, you need to sort of get rid of this, but there's that language barrier that's there. It is a wonderful, wonderful, I don't know if coming of age story is right. It's definitely a romance, but there's so much heart to this series. So when I was thinking of it, I thought of Gaia because, as I said, when Noriko enters this world, she does not know this language. And it's so interesting and refreshing seeing this in isekai manga, because I feel like in the, new gen isekai, I guess you would say, that typically these characters are isekai'd and they already know the language. Like there's something that's happening and the system's working for them, and they don't have to take those huge steps to actually and actively learn how to communicate. But Noriko doesn't have that OP system helping her out and having her back. And that is where I feel like Gaia comes in, because even though Noriko knows some of the language when she meets her, Gaia really takes her under her wing, because at this time Izark leaves to go somewhere and Noriko is just absolutely devastated. And I feel like Gaia really helps Noriko get on her feet and help her to continue to live. Maybe that sounds a little bit exaggerated, but Noriko, the only person before meeting her that she knew was Izark. Izark was her whole world, and that wasn't necessarily even romantically. I mean, he has helped her, protect her, slowly helped teach the language to her. And so for that rock in her life to basically be uprooted and leave, she feels like what is going to happen to her now? And of course she wants to see Izark again, but Gaia here just helps, encourages her, helps her to work at her shop. And I feel like not just in the beginning, but even later on, Gaia is someone in her life that has helped her and reminded her and helped her to stay firm in who she is, and that it's fine who she is, because Noriko goes on this mental head journey of these people around her, including Gaia herself, are very strong. There's warriors in the group. There's people that have magical abilities. There's seers. And Noriko, what does she bring to the table? She feels like she's nothing. All she does is she gets emotional at times and starts crying and feels very helpless. But as the series goes on, and through characters like Gaia and another one, Zena, that both of these ladies, I feel like really help not just Noriko, but Izark as well, to see whatever the prophecy has said about them, whatever fate has supposedly said about them, that destiny is not written in stone, that they as people can change that. And I feel like Gaia and again Zena, that these two characters help them to understand and see and know that. I don't think we would have the wonderful, strong, and beautiful ending that we do in this series if it had not been for Gaia and Zena. Both incredible characters, and I really loved reading through some of these volumes this morning to find her on page and seeing her kick butt, because she is awesome. And I have no doubts that seeing Gaia be able to kick dudes' butts inspired Noriko as a heroine who felt, I don't know if self-conscious is the right word, but I do feel like there were times that Noriko almost knocked herself in believing that she couldn't be as strong as these other people. But Noriko, she digs deep at many times, and I just love how she is this ordinary heroine that felt so relatable in so many ways. Like, girl, I'd be crying so much too if I was you, but yet she has Gaia in her life, especially in this very critical time, to help her pick herself up and to keep walking forward, even if her heart feels really crushed, even if she doesn't know what her future is going to look like, that she knows that she has credible parental-like figures like her in her life that are going to be with her and support her. And that is literally what they do throughout every volume of this series. Even when things come out and they're like, I wasn't expecting that information, they believe in who Noriko and Izark are as individuals, not because again of a prophecy or because people said this is your destiny. No, they believed in them and what they wanted for them and what Noriko and Izark wanted for themselves, and help support that reality, that belief, that idea they had into blooming into that wonderful ending. They are such incredible characters, and again, I love this series so much and I would highly recommend it. For number 3, this is a different kind of series, and I'm gonna say the person I love asked me to die in my sister Steed, and the person that I'm actually gonna say is a very cool sword, and that is Sart. This sword right here. I feel like when we meet Wistria, this young lady here, when we first meet her, she is living in this world and she has feelings for this man. I'm blanking on his name probably because I don't like the things that happen. Bright was his name. But yeah, I didn't like things that happen. To make the story short here is Wistria has always had feelings for Bright, and she has magical abilities. Bright does not though. But Wistria is hoping that she can show Bright that magic isn't bad and be able to prove herself sort of to him, because she wants to earn and gain his affection. But the thing is she finds out that Bright actually has feelings for her sister. As the title comes into play, the man that she loves, Bright, asks her, hey, can you go to the pre-dawn realm, because in this world there is this other magical place and monsters come from there and they affect the world that they live in today. So somebody has to go to the pre-dawn realm to help stop these monsters, help the Masmia to calm down, and nobody wants to do it, obviously, because if you go there, you're never coming back. So like, you could live there and be fine, but you also could die there. Either way, you will not be able to come back to this world. And Wistria, she ends up telling him yes, that she will go, and before she's about to go to the pre-dawn realm, the sword here, he basically volunteers to go with her. And it was sort of odd because it's like, why? But I feel like he is one of the strongest supportive characters because without him, I don't think that Wistria would have made it in this pre-dawn realm. She was heartbroken when she entered here. She was woefully unprepared. I mean, she is this young woman. Definitely not going to say she's fragile or anything, but she had not fought with magical abilities. Not even with the sword had she ever fought. And you would think that, well, because he's a sword, that he would be supportive in more ways than one. But no, it was, I think, him being a companion because he can talk to her in his mind, or in her mind, excuse me, and he's so snarky. But I think that some of that snarky really, I don't know how it would be if he wasn't snarky. I can't even picture him not being snarky, but I do feel like it's those moments where we really see Wistria liven up and take heart. I mean, with that third volume though, the ending to be determined because I got some little Sarts currently in the doghouse with me, but I feel like when we see him in this world with Wistria and when Lloyd comes into the pre-dawn realm, Sart is, I'm not going to say Wistria's #1 fan, but I do feel he is her #1 support. Yes, he is the only support she has, but I feel like he knows what to say to put a fire in her so that she doesn't go senile, as he says, in this pre-dawn world, in this place where it's just monsters. And she's been there, I think it was 20 something years, and she's never aged. So she could live in this place for hundreds of years potentially. And here's Sart keeping her company with his snark, help keeping her going. I mean, she does use him to defend herself, but I love the banter that they have and the way that he really, outside of that snark, I do believe he genuinely cares for her. Not in a romantic way, though I wouldn't mind if it ever did go that route, to be honest, which might sound really weird because he's a sword, but I feel like just the companionship that they have is Wistria's stronghold for her life in this series, and that without him there, she would be in a very much different place. And Lloyd is coming in and he is shaking up all of that ground that she has protected her heart, and I really don't know where the series is going to go. I did feature volume 4 in the cover reveal in my manga news video because it's just so beautiful. I mean, all the covers of this series are absolutely stunning. There's a lot of heartbreak, pain, angst, agony, and yet here I am still reading it. But Sart, he is part of the reason I do enjoy reading this series because I'm so thankful that he is there in Wistria's life and helping her to keep pushing forward. But I love too that even as the series goes on, because Lloyd comes here and he's like, I want Sart. Sart is definitely gets the idea himself. He wants to stay with Wistria, but Wistria, she sticks up for him. She makes fun of him, talking about Sart here, but yet here they are, these two wonderful companions. And so even though, because I forgot to mention, he's not a parental-like figure by any means to Wistria, but I did try and also choose sort of, I don't know, I think all of them were more like parental-like figures, but also I think companions that give you strength, because Sart is that for Wistria. I will be sad if there ever comes a time in this series where Sart is just not there with his snarky banner saying things to lighten up the mood or make Wistria mad and putting her into action. He speaks a lot, but I feel like the underlying words that he's not saying really shows that he is Wistria's companion and he will be here for her. He's going to support her to the best of his ability, even if he's not always happy with her decisions or the choices she makes, because she does get in trouble with him at one point, but yet he's still there. He's still talking to her and he's still doing what I feel like he can as a sword to stay by her side and help her to keep going. He is a very fun and interesting character, and again, I'm thankful he's in this series because I feel like he livens it up when my heart's breaking and the anxiety or the agony, the anxiousness, whatever the word is really strong. He is there, and I hope he continues to be there. For number 4, I am so excited to feature the series, and that is Yusutoki Rhetoric. Who I'm going to feature is a couple that owns a restaurant, and they are right here. I could not find a bigger picture of them. I know there's scenes where we see them more commonly in later volumes, but I didn't want to feature those volumes in case if there was spoilers, but this series is amazing. It is about Kaneko, a young woman who has the ability to hear lies, and when she hears lies, she hears this really weird sound in her ears. She has more or less been kicked out of her village, sort of kicked out, but also she makes the choice. She feels like she made things harder for her parents and the village itself, so she decides to leave and hopefully be able to find a better life where she doesn't really hurt anybody or affect anybody. Not that she's hurt anyone physically, but I guess you'd say hurt their feelings. She ends up coming across this detective. This detective is like, man, I'd be dumb if I didn't can't use your skills as a detective to have you help me solve these cases. And so she begins this new life as a detective's assistant, and there's so many shenanigans that unfold, really interesting mysteries, and just an overall really engaging series. And I wanted to say this couple from the restaurant here because I feel like they are just always there for Kaneko, that they have her back, even when the detective does not pay his bill like he should. They still leave their doors open for her and willingly and excitedly welcome her into this community. And when they see that she is struggling or she is becoming more isolated, so to speak, that they are there and wanting to know what is going on. They want her to feel welcome. They want her to feel loved because genuinely they care for her. I feel like in a very loose sense that they have adopted her, because they do have a son, but that they have adopted her as somebody that they deeply love in this community, and they want to see her always smiling, and that they will go out of their way to help make sure that Kaneko is smiling, and that the detective here, Mr. Iwai, that he is not doing anything to diminish or get rid of that smile, to make Kaneko's life harder than it is, or any of those things. Like, they are just such a beautiful couple in this series that anytime they popped up on page at any given point, I was always excited because, again, you know that they have Kaneko's best interests at heart and that they will always give a willing listening ear to Kaneko, that they will encourage her, that they will just be there for her. And I feel like that really shined maybe in the final volume or the second to last volume of how they really were like, Mr. Iwai, something is going on. We also want to surprise Kaneko with a certain event that they did. And it was absolutely beautiful and wonderful and really showed how much they cared for Kaneko. Also probably Mr. Iwai, but there's a little bit more mixed feelings there, I think, between them. It was just really wonderful. I really loved how they always had a ready smile for her and how they would listen to her. Anytime she was struggling, if Kaneko wanted to open up, they were there to be some of the first ones to volunteer, also give advice if she needed advice, and sometimes just share a little nugget of wisdom that maybe she wasn't prepared for, but that they did anyway, and they would change things, make things better for her. They're a really wonderful couple, and they were just always so much fun to see on scene. In fact, one of my favorite moments that vividly comes to mind is when there is a mystery that happens, and there's this guy had ordered something, and he's saying he ordered one thing, and the couple is like, no, you didn't. And so they have to look into this mystery of what happened, why are their stories not lining up, and what just happened, because things aren't good, and there's a lot of tension and arguing and fighting. So I love how Kaneko comes in because she thinks about how much this couple has helped her and encouraged her and helped her grow as a young woman in this community, especially when she first comes. I mean, you can see we meet them very early on in the series, and they were definitely one of the people I feel like that were critical in inviting Kaneko, and Kaneko feeling maybe I have a place in this community. Even if nobody knows my secret that I can hear lies, maybe they'll genuinely welcome me and I'll have a new home here. Maybe even without meeting them, she could have definitely felt that, but I felt like it just started her journey, her new journey in this city, in this place, in such a hopeful light that I couldn't help but be excited that she went to the restaurant that she did, talked to the couple that she did, so that she could be the young woman that she is now, especially by the end, because she grows so much. And I like to think that that couple played a role in her life to help her be who she is today. For number 5, last but not least, I don't know if this is underrated either. I was like, this is probably not super underrated, but man, when I think of very supportive characters who have sort of a parent-like role, Genji from Kakuryou Bed and Breakfast for Spirits, another series that you guys voted for that won my event, I believe, last year, and I have a review on this channel if you're curious. I absolutely loved it, and I love Genji. He is amazing. But this story here is about Aoi, and it is her very interesting journey because she can see these yokai spirits, and so she sort of helps them. She will give them food. One day she is walking by, I forget where she's walking by somewhere, and she happens to meet and see this one yokai who's like, hey, can you please feed me? Can you please feed me? She decides to, lo and behold, he is the Odana in this yokai world that she gets carried off to, basically, and she is not only interacting with one of the strongest yokai in this world, but she is engaged to this yokai, much to her dismay, because was it her grandfather or her uncle? It was her grandfather had wrecked the inn that the Odana runs, and so a lot of all of that got pushed on Aoi, but Aoi is fighting back. She's like, no, I'm not marrying the Odana. I'm not giving you all of my life to help work and pay off the debts he did. Not doing any of that. Just give me back to my world. In between all of that, because obviously there's yokai who are really upset by Aoi, a human's behavior, and not respecting the Odana. But here comes Genji, with his amazing and very wonderful self, who I feel like has always supported Aoi, that regardless if she was gonna marry the Odana or not, I feel like he really wants the best for her. A great example of this is very early on when there is mentions of her opening a restaurant. Genji was the first in line to support her. And not only that, but when she is feeling down and none of the yokai want anything to do with her, Genji is the first one to offer her food and to be there and listen to her. And that continues throughout the series. Genji is one of my favorite characters, if not my very favorite character in the series, because maybe he could be like some of the yokai and be very deceiving or conniving. Genji just feels so honest, or maybe like very heartfelt and supportive, that I feel like his actions speak really loud of how he's treating Aoi, of how he's going out of his way to help her and to encourage her when it comes to the restaurant and when it comes to the dishes that she's making. Like, he has believed her since day one. And I feel like that just really speaks so loudly in this series, whether that's vocal, him actually saying that, or just how he checks up on her. Again, it supports her in the small way of like, hey, I'll go get you this food, or hey, let's go to this marketplace together, or hey, I'll listen to you rant about the Odana. Like, he's always there in this non-romantic sense. I don't know if he is a parent-like figure. I'm hesitant to say that, but I'm also hesitant to say that he's like a best friend. I mean, they definitely have a very strong friendship, but I feel like he watches over her. It really left this last volume like it was a cliffhanger, and I feel like because of their friendship and because how he has watched over her, I was like, oh my gosh, like what is gonna happen next? Like, I need the next volume. And I did see, I think it was the last night when I was updating my spreadsheet or just like looking at things, I forgot exactly what I was trying to do, but I'm pretty sure that we have the upcoming volume up for pre-order. I think it comes out in January, and I'm like, yes, please. I needed to know what happens. And I love how these two, Aoi and Genji, like there's times they get in trouble together. It's just really amazing. I feel like Aoi definitely goes back to much of what I've said about the other characters. I feel like if it wasn't for these supportive characters, that the female lead or the male lead wouldn't be the person they are today. And I feel like Genji has really helped Aoi in a world that feels unsafe and unkind to her as a human being, that Genji has been a safe place for her, that he's been a friend that she can always depend on, who has been reliable and very caring and overall really supportive. I don't think Aoi would make it in this world very far if it wasn't for him. And I mean that literally. I don't think she would have. And if she did make it very far, I don't think she would have these same moments of happiness that she's having, because Genji encouraged her to go cook dishes that not only make him happy, but the people around her, and in turn making her happy that they're enjoying her food. It is wonderful. And Aoi, we probably wouldn't have all the dishes that we have if it wasn't for Genji encouraging her from the start to be like that. So I love Genji and really how dearly important he is to the story, but also even greater to Aoi's life as an individual. He is her rock. And I think, again, that's why the latest volume was upsetting of how it ended, because it's like you're doing things in the plot that aren't cool. And I just hope things are okay in the next volume, but I will stop all my rambles there. As you can see, I love these characters very, very much. I hope I did them all justice, and would love to hear from you. What are some underrated parent-like figures or parents or characters that you feel need some love and deserve some spotlight because of how they support these main characters? Let me know down below, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!